Hello guys, welcome to Ancestor Says. All my energy pools, intuitive messages, or anything that I am coming on here, channeling, or discussing with y'all are timeless. So, whenever you see these messages, these are for you. I've been going in and out of different kind of energies all day today. And a lot of what I've been getting is like people with a lot of misconceptions, or feeling like because they're of the light they gotta be against the dark, and because this and that and the third. That's not how it technically goes, in my opinion. Now everybody has the right to have their own opinion, so I'm gonna share mine. I'm a light worker, right? But I believe everyone has both in them, and you learn how to balance it both, some more than others, you know. I think a lot of what we have and how much we have in us is due to your bloodline and your genetics. I really think that, personally, that gifted folks, it's like a genetic type of thing. Like, it's a thing that goes in your bloodline. People that are seers, people that are psychics, people that are mediums, somebody in your family before you, before them, you know, had that gift. I think the gifts are placed on people based upon their, I'm not even going to just say bloodline, your lineage. For me, lineage is more so your, not just your family on the physical realm, your family and people that you are literally tied to spiritually as well. When bloodline could be kind of pertain to your physical body, you know, your blood, you know. But even afterlife, you know, we still kind of got attachments. But when it comes to lineage, you have people in your lineage that are not blood kin to you this lifetime, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I look at that. That's how I decipher between bloodline and lineage. Lineage is way beyond just earthly. Bloodline, you know. And with that being said, you will know that you have ancestors that are of the light, and you have ancestors that played in the dark arts. Now, just because they played in the dark arts and you are of the light does not mean they mean you any harm. You will have ancestors from both sides. Some people, I can't say everyone, because I know everybody's situation is different. Personally, me, I have ancestors on both sides that I am locked and loaded with and that I love, okay? Period. So I can't say that I'm against dark energies or dark people that play in the dark arts, because that's disrespecting my ancestors on that side that chose to do that. Just because they played in the dark arts, I don't mean they meant any harm, and some did. But when you are going through your lifetime and the spiritual guides and the spiritual protection that you have both of them. So you got to understand to look at it from a very unbiased, unjudgmental way. Now, you only should deal with the ones that are for your better good, you know, not the ancestors that got something to, you know, a vendetta against somebody else in the bloodline, and they just, you know, are on some other stuff. And you'll know the difference between the ones that's for you and not. And if you don't, you pray on it, use your discernment, use your intuition. But all of your ancestors that choose to utilize the darker side of things does not mean that they chose to utilize it to harm innocent people. It's all about the intention. So I would never say I'm against the dark, but I do not play in the dark. It's not my prerogative to practice any dark arts, but I'm not against anybody that do it. But, you know, like I keep saying, if somebody comes for you, you have the right, and very much so use your common sense to defend yourself, you know, because you just don't let people do stuff to you, especially spiritually. And believe it or not, people attack folks way more spiritually than they do physically. Like, why not? I mean, they think that they don't get caught, especially if you're not using your discernment, especially if you're not tapped in. So, I love all my ancestors, all of them. I don't care what they decided to do on their time on Earth. As long as they have good intentions for me, then I'm open to them. But obviously, I don't connect with any dark empaths that are out for threatening people, places, things, or myself, obviously. But don't be so closed-minded on those type of things, because you'll have ancestors that are literally out for your good, your protection, and for you, that just, you know, went through things different in life and took a different path, you know? So I had to cut my TV down. 2:04, I might be saying on clock. I'm very spiritual, but I'm very religious too. Like, I'm not going to say I'm religious. I believe in God, like, completely. I believe in God. I believe in everything. So, and I watch a lot of documentaries. I study a lot, you know. It's not an everyday thing. I'm like study, but anything that piques my interest, I'm going to look into it. So let me get back to the subject. So we all have to make sure that we keep in mind and understand that God created the light and the dark. I don't oppose the dark. I don't have anything against dark empaths or people that believe or meddle in the darker arts. God placed those gifts on them. God is in control of all of us, good and bad. Now, what we choose to utilize our gifts and our magic for is totally up to us and our, some people might be seeing feathers or, you know, like that floating around. But what we choose to utilize our magic for and against and why and the intentions is where the line is drawn for me. It's supposed to be an equal balance. Like, I feel like if you play in the dark arts and you're playing in the dark arts and you're doing it against somebody else that plays in the dark arts, somebody that does things that are similar to you and things of that sort, you're doing whatever you're doing against people like you, have at it. However, but when you're attacking people that are still unaware or unconscious, and you're attacking like light workers literally because you just want to feed off of their energy, that's where you are totally wrong at, and you deserve every piece of judgment that you get. You deserve every piece of karma that you get when you do that, especially when nobody's bothering you. When you see somebody's life path or their destiny and you just decide that you want it, so you feel like you have that right to attack that person because you have that type of magic, you study that type of magic, then that's wrong. That's where the problem comes in at. However, we know that the world is made up for things to go the way that they go. So it happens, you know what I'm saying? However, I don't think that it should always be a thing where people feel like they have to look at like people that are masons, people that are dark empaths, people that do voodoo or spell work, hoodoo, all of that. I don't think that they should be ridiculed as much as we do sometimes, and I don't think that it's fair to put them all in the same basket, like that they're all bad just because you're in a cult or a coven, or just because you're a mason, or just because you are part of the Illuminati, or whatever it is that you confirmation participate in. I don't think they're all bad. I don't look at them like they're bad. That's like saying, like, all us empaths think that we're perfect. All of us light workers think that we don't do any wrong. But we all know that we do. We're not perfect. We do stuff, you know? You know, we do. Let's just admit to it. So, y'all might be saying 666-333-444-888, okay? So, and also, we got to remember us putting judgment on them is, or automatically judging that they are horrible people, is just pointing 10 fingers back at us as well, because nobody's perfect. Now, I'm gonna say, if you got somebody that's spiritually attacking you for no reason, just because of who you are, just because you smiled today, just because they saw your destiny, whatever, you have every right to defend yourself. By all means, defend yourself. But don't think that every person that you run across that's like a 33rd degree Mason, or, you know, there's somebody that play in the dark arts and all this stuff, that they're immediately, don't automatically think they're a bad person. Use your discernment, use your intuition. We cannot place a label on everybody that has magic anointed by God, because all our magic is anointed by God, and choose to utilize it, or been born in a bloodline that is utilized in a certain way, are bad, okay? And I hear that a lot. And also, for us new empaths, like, I know it's hard to step outside your shell and be your best you, because especially if you come from a religious background. I grew up in the church as well, and, you know, I think that anybody that can accept you and the way you decide to go in the direction you, or the way you choose to honor God, they already was judging you anyway. As long as you're not hurting anybody, and like I said before, God don't care how we praise him or acknowledge him, as long as we are to the best of our capability. Some people don't even acknowledge that he's real, you know. So don't be scared to be your best you. Be you. Take those masks off, because us wearing a mask, even being light workers, is just as bad as people wearing a mask and on the low, you know, they be doing stuff they ain't got no business. Like, what's the difference? Everybody wearing a mask, you know? Not saying comparing one or the other. I'm just saying, like, don't be ashamed of what you believe in. And if you can't be you around the people that you're around, then maybe you need to start looking for a new crowd. Y'all might be saying 1919. I always speak on things that I've been through, and the energy is a lot of different energies, because it's a lot of different people finally accepting their calling and waking up. Whether you are a light empath or a dark empath, embrace who you are. You know, it is what it is. It's your bloodline. It's what you were born into, and regardless of what is anointed by God, but your intentions is what cultivates the outcome of the path that you are walking. It's all about your intentions and not opinion, you know? So don't be ashamed of who you are. Just be honest about who you are. Be honest about what you're into. You know, be honest about the things that you indulge in, you know, and respect people's differences. Because it's okay to be cool or to be, you know, non-confrontational with somebody that practices or do the opposite of what you do. You don't have to adopt their beliefs. You don't have to adopt their system. You don't. You respect it, you know? Of course, now, when you're laying down, you making soul ties and all that stuff, that's a whole different ballgame. But be able to have those open conversations with people. Be able to listen without judgment and them listen to you without judgment. And not expect them to change their beliefs, just to understand your beliefs. You know? Just being able to understand where you're coming from and you understand where they're coming from without any expectation for anybody to switch or change what they believe in. And when it comes to people in general, especially people that you're letting in your life, you have to accept them as they are. Now, if they choose to change or do things differently later on down the road, that's them, you know? And you don't ever want to force anything on anybody. And don't automatically judge somebody and think that the way they think or their beliefs is wrong. Everybody comes from a different cloth. Everybody believes in the things they believe in for a reason, whether they're right or wrong. But it's not up to you to make them change the way they think. You can show them a new way of thinking. You can explain their way of thinking, but what they do with that is totally up to them. And if you decide to deal with it or not, move forward or not, respect differences and keep moving or not, that's totally up to you. Nah, y'all might be saying. So let's just normalize everybody being okay with who they are. Let's normalize people being able to be who they are out loud without being judged. Just because you don't agree. You don't have to agree to respect it. You know what I'm saying? And be authentic. Like, do you. And also always look into and educate yourself on things that other people are trying to pull you into. Before they like, oh, do this ritual with me. It's just for this, or let's do this candle work, or do your research. People do rituals for good. People do rituals for bad. People do candle work for good, candle work for bad. Voodoo. It has two sides. It's two sides to every coin. So we just gotta learn how to normalize not trying to always put conviction on each other, and be open to listening. However, standing your ground on what you believe in, and knowing that you have that choice, and being okay with being different, you know, and not placing everybody in one category just because one or two or three people intentions were mega. Come on now, tighten up. And don't my daughter just cut me off. She know I don't play that. Talking about somebody might got some stinky booty. I don't know, because she know I don't play that. I don't talk like that. But she do me off. But be okay with that, and not assume that everybody that practice that type of magic all have the same bad intentions. Like, I have nothing against the dark. I channel for the dark and I channel for the light. I just do not play in dark magic. I do not play in dark magic. But I love everybody. You know, I just know my limits and I know my boundaries when it comes to one thing or another. And I'm 110 toes down for a guide and my ancestors, and I'm a light worker, point blank period. But I have nothing against dark workers, whatever. Just don't bother me, you know. But if the time comes, you have every right to protect yourself. However, I don't assume everybody has the same intentions, that even if they are into the same type of magic. That's what I'm saying. But all signs including, this is timeless, and as I always say, remember to pray. Bye, guys.